Have you ever used an idiom in IELTS speaking and immediately regretted it? Maybe you practiced it many times. Maybe you waited for the perfect moment to use it. And when you finally said it, it sounded strange, or forced, or disconnected from your story. This happens to many Band 6 students. They believe idioms automatically increase their score. But that is not how examiners think. Idioms do not impress examiners. Control impresses examiners. Today, I'll show you exactly how to use idioms correctly in speaking part 2. Not randomly, not dramatically, not in every sentence, but strategically. By the end of this lesson, you'll know exactly where idioms belong in your story. And more importantly, where they do not belong. Let's talk about the real problem. Many Band 6 students memorize 20 or 30 idioms. They think, if I use advanced expressions, my score will go up. But here's what usually happens. They wait for a chance to insert an idiom. The idiom controls the answer, instead of the story controlling the answer. For example, I once heard a student describing exam stress. Suddenly they said, "It was raining cats and dogs." That idiom had nothing to do with stress. It was memorized. It was misplaced. And examiners notice this immediately. Fluency is not about showing vocabulary. Fluency is about smooth storytelling. If an idiom interrupts your flow, it lowers your coherence score. So the goal is not to avoid idioms. The goal is to control them, and that begins with structure. Every strong speaking part 2 answer follows a natural pattern. There are 4 stages. First, the situation. This introduces context. Second, the problem. This creates tension. Third, the turning point. This is where something changes. Fourth, the result. This is where the story ends emotionally. Now here's the key idea. Idioms work best in stage 2 or stage 3. Why? Because idioms express difficulty, surprise, or change. They are emotional markers, but they do not belong at the beginning, and they do not belong in every sentence. When students use idioms inside this structure, their answers sound natural. When they ignore structure, idioms sound memorized. So before choosing an idiom, build your story first. Structure first. Vocabulary second. Let's apply this to a real cue card. Describe a difficult challenge you faced. Here is a typical Band 6 response. It was very difficult. I was stressed, but I tried hard and succeeded. Grammatically correct, but flat. No emotional movement, no structure, no development. The ideas are simple, the language is basic, and there is no clear story progression. Now let's rebuild this answer using the 4 stages. Watch carefully how the structure changes everything. Stage 1. Situation. Last year, I decided to apply for a postgraduate program abroad. Clear context. Stage 2. Problem. At first, I felt completely overwhelmed because the application process was more complicated than I expected. Now we insert one idiom naturally. I realized I had bitten off more than I could chew. Notice something important. The idiom replaces a long explanation. It summarizes emotion. It does not interrupt the flow. It fits the problem stage perfectly. That is strategic placement. Stage 3. Turning point. After feeling discouraged for a few weeks, I decided to break the process into smaller steps. You could add, for a while it felt like I was back to square one. Again, emotional transition. Stage 4. Result. Eventually, all the effort paid off, and I received an acceptance letter. When I saw the email, I felt on top of the world. Now the story feels alive, not dramatic, not theatrical, just structured and controlled. That is the difference between memorized vocabulary and functional vocabulary. Let's look at 5 idioms that work well in storytelling. First, bite off more than you can chew. Use it when you underestimate difficulty. Second, back to square one. Use it for setbacks. Third, out of the blue. Use it for unexpected events. Fourth, a blessing in disguise. Use it when something negative leads to something positive. Fifth, on top of the world. Use it to describe strong happiness. All of these idioms describe emotional movement, challenge, surprise, recovery, success. That is why they fit naturally inside stage 2 or stage 3. Avoid overly dramatic expressions. If you hesitate while saying it, do not use it. Clarity is more important than creativity. Now let's talk about restraint. Do not use an idiom in every story. 1 is enough. 2 is risky. 3 is dangerous. Do not use idioms in writing task 2. Most are too informal. Do not use idioms you do not fully understand. And never force an idiom because you memorized it. If your story works without the idiom, that is a good sign. The idiom should enhance clarity, not replace clarity. Think of it as seasoning. A small amount improves flavor. Too much ruins the dish. Now it is your turn. Here is your practice cue card. Describe a time you learned something difficult. Use the 4-part structure. Situation, problem, turning point, result. Choose one idiom from today's list. Record yourself. Then listen carefully. Ask yourself, did the idiom feel natural? Did it match the emotional stage? Did it improve clarity? If yes, you are moving toward Band 7. You do not need 50 idioms. You need control. Structure first, idiom last.
If this lesson helped you, subscribe for more weekly examiner strategies. Tell me your target score in the comments. If speaking feels unclear, I wrote Speak with Heart to guide you step by step. And if you're ready for structured examiner level feedback, you can book a session with me on Cambly. I'll see you next week.